but there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. My name is Elizabeth, and this is Hillbilly Crime. If you have not been here before, welcome to our show. We are glad you're here, and you've been missing out. All right, so let's see who all's here. Oh, we've already got a ton of people in here today. Yeah, I took a day off yesterday, even though I'd planned on working all day. Just didn't work out that way. Sorry, y'all. Ready for this one? Absolutely, Miss Crystal. Welcome in, everybody. Pinto, we've got Pinto here tonight. It's good to see you again. Pinto was here when we first started all of this, so it's good to see you back. Kurt Frederick made it in time for a live. Yucca Valley Nan from the high desert of Southern California. Wow. And Kurt says from the gorgeous weather in Redwood City. Told you we're not just in these little mountains anymore, y'all. We've got people from all over the world that comes to our chat. Pinky Lemonade. Howdy, everyone. I got a message from somebody today saying that they had found us through Gavin, which we love Gavin. Gavin is the best. And so I'm very glad we've got some new viewers. George Holbrook, good evening. Sandra, watching live from Niagara Falls, Canada. So do you guys, one thing that we've learned is that there's corruption everywhere. It's not just in these back hollers of Appalachia, and it's not just in the cities. It's everywhere. And something that I've been doing since this show started, really, is researching just different roles, public officials, their roles, and what avenues citizens have to file complaints or, just for justice. It's pretty bad when those who take an oath, who put a hand on the Bible and raise their right hand, and they take an oath to follow the code of conduct, the code of professional conduct, and certain rules and regulations that you just have to follow. How many of us regular folks who work regular jobs, if we did half of what these public officials did, we would lose our jobs in a heartbeat. We would lose our jobs. Well, so one of the other things that we have at our disposal is our vote. How many of us, and I've done it myself. I've done it. I'm guilty of just getting really frustrated with the system and saying, screw this. I'm not voting. I'm not going to vote. I mean, what's my vote even count for? Well, when you look at what's filling these elected positions, we see how important our one vote is. It's when we gather that one vote. I know I forget exactly how it says it in the Bible, but when you've got one, it's easy to break. But when you've got a 3 round cord, I know you all know which scripture I'm talking about. I should have pulled that up, but it just came in my mind. When you've got 3 cords wrapped together, it's much harder to break, right? But if you've just got one, it's pretty simple to break it. Well, it's the same way if we want to look at our votes. Votes are the same way. Now tonight, I'm not going to get all into what's going on here in Letcher County. That's going to be for this week. All right, we're going to have a show every night this week that I've been trying to plan out. And tonight we are going to watch this failed polygraph from Nick Houck. Nick Houck is the brother of Brooks Houck. And Brooks has been arrested and is getting ready to go on trial next month for the disappearance of his girlfriend, Crystal Rogers. Crystal Rogers went missing from his home in 2015. So this is a pretty old case. And he was arrested, and 2 of his employees, father and son, have also been arrested in her disappearance. And it's the Lawson father and son. So all 3 of them will be on trial for her disappearance. And I'm assuming, I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming they've got him charged with her death too, even though they've never found her body. But one of the other interesting things about that too is how often do we see somebody roll over and become a state's witness? Sometimes we see people take a plea bargain, a lower sentence and charge if they decide to turn state's evidence against a co-defendant, which I'm no lawyer, remember. I'm just an average Joe with just a little bit of knowledge of the criminal justice system. And, It's just getting worse and worse. All right, so let's watch this, and we'll see what we're going to be watching for in the trial.
Complete truth as we're sitting here. And officers in these circumstances, so like the one about whether or not you know or well, Nick, I've had a chance to review your charts on both tests. That first test, you did not pass the test, and it's pretty clear to me that you haven't told me the complete truth today. And the questions you're having a problem with are questions about Crystal, and in particular, one about whether or not you know where she is right now. And I treat police officers in these circumstances like I would myself, so we're not going to go through all the interview interrogation nonsense. You and I are on the same page. But again, I'm also going to tell you the complete truth as we're sitting here. And it's no longer a matter of wondering, do you know anything about what happened? We're past that now. I mean, I'm crystal clear with you. I give everybody a good, fair test. I'm no longer asking you if you know. You do. Now, what you want to do with that is entirely up to you. I'm going to yell and scream at you and get the Sipowicz phone book and all that. I'm talking to you man-to-man as a fellow law enforcement officer. That the time has come for you to think real hard about the rest of your life. This is you. I'm not talking about Brooks or anybody else. And I'm telling you facts of life. I'm an old guy. I'm not trying to be a father figure here, but I'll tell you, I'm doing this for 25 years, the way that this pans out. When the FBI gets involved in this investigation, I want you to listen to one thing. You don't have to say anything to me. You do whatever you want to do. As I said, you may never even be an FBI agent, right? But once you get on the radar, we don't go away, unless there's a reason to. I thought there would be. You didn't pass this, and there's some other information there as well. So I guarantee you we're not going away. All right. The FBI has unlimited resources in terms of forensic information, electronic information, many bodies that you want to pour out here, do surveillance and look through everything that's ever.
And one of the things I noticed too was the FBI was the ones who did this. And I'm assuming that the reason why the FBI was involved was because she was a missing person. And the FBI has to be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the FBI has to be invited in on stuff like that. But when it's a missing person, that falls in their wheelhouse.
We will find Crystal. I have zero doubt about that. It's a matter of when it's going to be and why. And inevitably, what's going to happen is one of a couple of things. We'll determine exactly if she's injured and dead, which she in likelihood is. You've come to that conclusion yourself. Mm-hmm. The way that happened and the means in which it happened. Now, I know what your relationship is with your brother. It's a tight relationship, but in a unique kind of way. You have a little different relationship, and it's actually, again, not trying to make comparisons, similar to what mine and my brother are. Close, but in a very different way. And no doubt in my mind that you've spoken with him about what happened. You know essentially what happened. And whether or not it was something staged out and planned in terms of I'm going to make her go away, or if it was something that was, I hesitate to say an accident, but something that was not intended to do. My hunch is, I don't know, because I don't have the physical evidence in front of me to know, but 99% of the time of these, it's something that was not intended, a push, a shove, somebody trips, hits her, or whatever. Have no idea. We find her, we're going to know, no doubt about it, and we will. And at that point, they're no longer going to come and ask you what happened. They're no longer going to come and ask Brooks what happened. They're going to know what happened, and they're going to prosecute, assuming a worst case scenario, because everybody had an opportunity up front to say, whoa, time out. It's a horrible, horrible thing. I got scared. Let me just tell you what happened. Nobody's going to want to hear that anymore, because all your testimony in the grand jury, all of his in the grand jury, the interviews that were recorded, where there are demonstrable lies about things that were said, That's all I'm put in front of a jury and or a judge, you've been in the system. And people are going to look at it in the totality and say, well, now they're saying it was some kind of an accident or they didn't intend for it to happen. Why didn't they just say that last month, last year, 5 years ago, whenever it may be? And what's going to end up happening is people end up getting prosecuted, and they look for the most significant sentences they can for people. And then people start cutting deals and who's going to get the reduced sentence and blah, how that all works. Point is, at that point, it's out of everybody's control. If we're going to get involved as the FBI and expend all these resources, then we're going to just assume the worst and go forward. If at this stage, however, and I'm just giving you the facts to lay out, these are not things, I have no doubt you've pondered this since the very first day this all occurred. Mm-hmm. But I want you to refresh it in your mind. You think about it however you want to. What everybody that I've talked to believes is this was something that was not a planned out murder for hire type thing or that nature. It was about a relationship and something that happened, flared up. Like you were having domestics in your career plenty, and people don't plan those out. Sometimes you see a pattern of behavior. It doesn't appear to be the case here. That's why I asked you about their relationship, and others have as well. Nobody's pointing to saying it's that kind of relationship. Again, I'm not going to lay out all the evidence that's sitting there right now, and there's plenty of it. And I don't know the additional evidence that's going to come out as this goes forward, because we're just getting started on an awful lot of things. But rest assured, it's all going to be laying on a table where you can now point and say, okay, this is it. And whether it be a circumstantial type of a case where it's just you put together the totality and it's so overwhelming that there is only one conclusion that a jury can draw, that's probably how this is going to work out. Unless somebody wants to step up and be a man and say, look, here's the deal. This is what happened, and make it better. I can tell you, 25 years of doing this, it always works out for the best when that's what happens. People aren't going to come, the deal. Once you've interviewed a lot of people in your career, I'm quite sure, more than a few, I would bet. You've been in law enforcement 11, an interview can be as simple as talking to people or traffic stop, right? Mm-hmm. People is my point. And in talking to those people, you pretty much know what happens. You've been around kids before, you ask them a question and they say something, you know it pretty much right away. Well, that's what I do kind of on steroids. And it's obvious. Looking at your interviews before, it was already obvious that you're not being truthful about some things. Okay? To me, it was equally obvious that you're not somebody that had a major role in anything that happened as far as her disappearance and these things. There could be some other issues and factors there. I don't know. That's my assessment. But when we start talking about her, where she is right now, when somebody fails a polygraph, the reason I did the test like this, you saw that numbers test, right? When I had you write the number 5 and I had you tell me that you didn't write it, and it jumps off the screen that you're telling me the truth. Mm-hmm. There's areas right off of that list you did the exact same thing. And you know where they are. And what that is a guilty knowledge test. That's what I call it. And what that is your heart and your mind betraying what your body knows to be the truth. My master's degree is in forensic psychophysiology, which means the mind and the body interacting to determine the truth in an interview setting. That's what I do. This is actually admissible in court because it's scientifically valid. So when I say you know more than what you told me, I'm not guessing that. Okay? And when I tell you, polygraph, you didn't do well. I don't show people the chart. I don't show it. You probably don't care, but just so you know the facts. It's results on your test. Exception indicated. 100%. And then greater than 99. What's greater than 99? 100, right? What are the questions? Do you know where Crystal is right now? Are you hiding any information about what happened to Crystal? Okay. You didn't tell me the truth on both of those questions. So, I'm telling the truth. I'm not going to sit here and make up a bunch of stuff and try to read techniques with you. We're past that. So the cat's out of the bag as far as your guilty knowledge of what happened here. And again, I'm not going to play the games with you as detective doing all the lead stuff and everything else. I'm telling you, it's two individuals who know the way investigations work, what the facts are. And the time is now, today, to start fixing this problem. And we can talk all about Crystal and how we need to get her a proper burial and her family needs closure, her son needs closure, and all those things are true. But you know that. But you're a realist. You deal with them the today and the going forward. You even kind of said that basically in an interview the other day. People were concerned about why isn't Brooks acting differently with what's happened here? You know, his girlfriend, mother's child is missing, and he's happy-go-lucky, essentially. Well, people react to things in different ways, and I get that. That's why I say your relationship with him is a little different than others. It's a close relationship, but it's different than others might perceive. I'm the same way. That's an introvert's way of dealing with things. Introvert doesn't mean shy. It means you deal with things from an internal locus. We all do. I'm very much that way, so I get that. But that's why I'm not going to go into all these things about getting her a proper burial in the family and getting her back so that her son can visit the grave and all that. We all know that to be true, and you've already thought about that. You're dealing with that internally. What you're dealing with going forward is you, and more importantly, your brother. Your role in this, I'm assuming, because I wasn't out there to see exactly what you did or didn't do.
Was nothing.
Well, I'm not even asking you.
Okay, we'll go ahead. I mean,
you did. I've already shown you, so I'm not asking you if you did or didn't. You did.
Okay.
And we both know that.
He said, "You've already shown yourself." I like this investigator. One of the things that people said whenever we were listening to the Ben Fields investigation or the interview with the investigator for the Attorney General's office, they were like, "Well, that's a technique. That's an interviewing technique. You become their buddy, and you know that's how you get them to confess." Well, that's not the only technique that they have, available to them when they interview people. This investigator didn't sit down like his best friend and tell him, "Oh man, come on, you can tell me. We all been in situations like this. Shoot, man, I've even been guilty of it myself." This guy didn't do that. So anytime people give me that excuse, I don't think that investigator in Ben Field's case was very good. I don't think he did very good because he sure didn't investigate anybody else. He sure didn't go and investigate the other accusations that were made. But it's a different case.
It's for a lot. I'm not trying to be funny, but it's crystal clear, right? What happened here? Now, the details of who did what when, can I tell you exactly? No, but I can demonstrably point out through forensic evidence already that things that you told us about where you were at various times are demonstrably not true. We can prove in front of a jury today that you were places that you said you weren't. That's just one example. Again, I'm not asking for, I'm telling you the facts of what happened. You believe whatever you want about what I'm telling you. But I get paid to be truthful with people. Right? I'm here, my whole point today, when I'm doing a polygraph examination, I'm working for you, I'm working for the person in that chair. This is about a quest for the truth. And we're much closer today to the truth than we were when you first walked in that door. You can deny, that's fine. That's what people do. Well, that's what you've done at this point. And it's human nature. You know, when people are asked questions about a matter such as this, they immediately circle the wagons and start to, well, our self-preservation, we all.
Man, let me just cut you off. I mean, do we need to take this any further?
I would like to take it to the truth. That's the whole reason we're here.
Is the test though? I mean, man, you're talking crazy.
Well,
I mean, you're talking crazy.
Was that your rehearsed response to what was going to happen today? Because it sure sounds like it.
I don't know what it sounds like. I'm just telling
you.
I'm telling you what you're talking crazy.
What's crazy about it? Explain to me.
The accusations you're making.
Yeah, I'm saying you're involved in this.
Absolutely not.
Well,
none.
You've already told me that. That's why we did the polygraph, to find out. Well, now we both know.
I told you what now?
You told me before you had nothing to do with it. Right?
Yes.
Well, now we're past that because I've already shown that you did have something to do with it.
I don't know what the test.
I just showed you.
Okay.
I just showed it to you.
But I'm telling you, I did have.
And I'm telling you, you're lying. I mean, I can't make it any, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I'm
Yeah.
just telling you the truth.
That's what I'm doing to you. I'm telling you the truth.
No, you're not. We're past that. I've already shown you.
I'll take some polygraph. If you have anything else for me, because I mean, I'm not going to sit here and we're not going to go back and forth like this.
You do whatever you want to do. I said I'm
I mean, I want to cooperate with you. I mean, I'm not
So
here.
then tell me what happened. Tell me what you know.
I don't know anything.
We're past that. You've already shown me that you do.
I know nothing. I'm
And
sorry.
telling you, that's not true. It's not me. I just showed you. I don't even show people their results. I showed you yours.
Man,
And I even went the extra step for you to find out, okay, well, let's try to nail down what you know more about. You know more about this? Who would know? Am I saying that you did it or you didn't? No, I'm just saying you know more than we did. Whether that's a simple conversation with your brother or whether you were physically involved out there, I can't tell you. Either one of those things would explain what I'm seeing. My hunch is it's something that your brother told you.
I don't know anything. He has not spoken with me about this.
Well,
He's my
I'm glad
brother.
you said that because he probably would know better than to say specific things. So it's a matter then perhaps of what you observed, what you saw other people say. I don't know. I wasn't there. All I'm telling you is objectively, that's what we do. You and I do. That badge on there is what? It's to protect society. That's what SHIELD is, right?
Yes.
That's what we do. And I'm protecting you just as I would anybody else. But at the end of the day, I'm protecting one thing, and that's the truth. And objectively, looking at the facts, even if I were to take this out of the equation, why would somebody on numerous occasions in a formal interview under oath over there say something they know isn't true? Why would they do that?
Well, you know what, me?
Not about you.
Well, I mean, do you think it would have had anything to do with being a little irritated about how things are going? I mean,
Well, that's why you lied.
I didn't lie.
Well, I'm telling you, you did. I mean, I can show that already. This is not even.
Tell me about one of the lies.
Well, I can do that unless you're going to help me to understand the reasons behind it.
Dude,
I'm not going to lay out all the evidence that they do or don't have, but I can tell
I
you.
didn't ask you. I said,
This also shows the arrogance and the ego that this guy had. He has been a police officer, they said, for 11 years. He knew better. Why did he go into that polygraph? Knowing he was going to lie. Like, do they think they can really put a tack in their shoe and hit their foot, push down on their foot on that tack so it makes a stress response? I've heard people say stuff like that for years and years and years until they go in and take a polygraph. These polygraph readers, the guys who give them, they are so well trained at their jobs. They know. And this guy knew better. He went in there thinking that he was going to fool the machine, the analyst, the guy who gave it to him, and probably thinking that thin blue line was going to save him. But I'm really surprised and impressed that this police department did not coddle him and cover up for him. It doesn't look like they did. It looks like they treated him just like anybody else. It doesn't look like they gave him any kind of special treatment. But I'd say that the trial will reveal a whole lot more information than what we know right now.
tell me about something I've lied about.
That's what we're talking about. In the grand jury, you said places that you were not. When I asked you specifically a moment ago about whether or not you were ever at certain places, and you told me no. Well, I already knew when I asked that question that wasn't true because I can place you there. Those are just examples.
Are you talking about the video out there in the driveway?
No, I'm not.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I can promise you that.
Okay, Christy said if he's still LE, he can't refuse to assist at this point. And somebody said that the other night. They said because he was still a police officer at this time, he's sitting there in his police shirt in this. He's just got it unbuttoned. But somebody said the other night that his superiors made him talk to them, I guess, and cooperate with the investigation. So I don't know. That's very interesting. Usually, you know that if you're not under arrest, or well, I don't know if you know it or not, but usually if you're not under arrest, you know, you can get up and walk out at any time. But I don't know about him, because if his superiors were forcing him to cooperate, maybe he couldn't have got up and just walked out. I don't know. That's a really good question.
That I have been 100% honest with you.
No, that's what everybody, 100% on, that's just, you take retechnique stuff. That's what everybody says. I'm 100%, I'm 110% honest. That's not it. Look, there's either the truth or not the truth, right?
And that's what I gave you, the truth.
Well, but you didn't, and I've already shown that. I give benefit of that before you come in. I'm assuming you're telling me the truth. Look, I treat people the way they treat me. You haven't been an ass with me, and I'm not going to be an ass with you. I'm not that kind of guy. But I'm laying out for you what I've seen here. I can't argue with this. I've done over 2,000 of these. Trust me, when I told you I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing.
You must have slipped up today. I mean, I don't.
What do you think the chances are better that you slipped up and the truth snuck out here, or that I slipped up?
I know you slipped up, but if you're telling me that I failed that test,
I just told you in no certain terms you did fail that test.
well, then the
I
test,
showed you.
then it wasn't valid. I mean,
Absolutely valid.
well, listen. I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with it.
Okay, well, that's fine. And I'll tell you, I'll even give you that you had nothing to do with it. Okay?
I know for
For
certain.
purposes here today.
I know for certain I had nothing to do with it, and I know nothing about it.
Well, that I won't. I won't give.
Well, I mean, that's
Because
just
I've shown that. But look, one of the two things is true. Either you know something, and it could be something relatively insignificant that you haven't told me.
I don't know anything. Absolutely nothing.
Well, then why would you be less than candid with me, with the other interview, and in the grand jury?
There's a reason for that.
That's what I'm saying. Explain that to me.
I had nothing to do with this, and I don't know anything about it.
No.
You know, it's just irritation. I mean, that just kind of worked its way into this.
Okay.
You know, I've been 100% honest.
Okay. Well, that gets to, maybe that's it. Let me ask you that.
And do you all realize or notice the way that both of these brothers act? Like there's not a missing mother out here. You know, it's like, who cares? It's just another day. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. But in the meantime, we've got a missing woman. The mother of your nephew is missing, and you haven't tried to help search or nothing? Like, she'll show up whenever she shows up. No big deal. What?
All right. I'll give you that. But when I ask you if you'd be less than candid, that means less than 100% truthful about things. You said you were irritated. Okay, which I understand. I would be too. Truthfully, no doubt about it.
Okay.
Okay. Have I been accused of things in the past that I didn't do? Yeah. Have I been accused of things I did do? Absolutely. Okay. And I've been irritated when I got accused of things I did do because I got caught. And then I
I love
you
it.
talk about being irritated in there. Tell me some of the things then. Like, again,
I'm not
free pass.
rehashing all this. I'm just.
No.
I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste mine.
My time is not wasted.
Listen,
We're here talking.
Listen, I don't know nothing about this.
Mhm.
Nothing at all, and I had nothing to do with it. I don't know anything.
Well,
If I had something to tell you, I would. She's got kids.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Why do you think we're here?
Okay, look, I don't know nothing.
Well, here, something you just
Not
said.
even something insignificant.
Clear that up for me, what you just, because I said, why would you be less than candid with me or the other interview in the grand jury? And you said, why would that? Because I was irritated. Okay.
But being irritated and being put in front of 12 people and accused of stuff like this, I mean, you know, you're going to forget things and not be able to speak as well as you normally would. I mean, there's more to it than you're saying.
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's exactly what I'm asking.
And some of those things you can't explain. I'm not going to sit here and try to explain.
Take your time to relax. Look, as I said, I'm sitting here. I'm here working for you. If there's stuff to explain it. I will take all day with you to fix it.
And it would take all day to go through all this. I mean,
Brother,
it's
you're on the
not.
clock, you're getting paid so much. You give me some thumbnail sketch if you want. Just
Ma'am,
explain to me what your big concerns are.
I'm not going there.
Why not? It makes no sense.
I'm not going there. Okay.
Well, it's not okay for me.
Well, I mean,
look what we're dealing with here. We're talking about the potential murder of an individual or an accidental death, right?
And if I knew anything, I would help you.
No,
But I
stop.
don't.
We're going to.
I know where you're going with this, man.
Where am I going?
You're going to just bring all this stuff about Crystal, and you know, you need to
Nope.
be, you know.
No,
go ahead.
I told you. I told you I wouldn't go this whole read technique stuff with you, right? What I'm talking about just is what you just said about explaining it to me so I can understand where you're coming from. You don't have to go through a whole life's history unless you want to. Just you said that you were irritated and there's things that you don't know, man. That's what you said to me. Help me to understand what some of those things are that I don't understand. That would then make me understand the reason for this. There can be explanations, is my point.
Yeah, I mean, just this whole process, you know,
Talk to
starting
me
from the
about it.
chief and going down. I'm not going to do that.
But you said there's things I don't know
This
about
be
this.
shown to him. He'll be irritated, and then he'll be watched. I'm not doing that. It's that simple. I mean,
What do you mean? I'm not understanding.
you ought to be following me, man. If you're as sharp as if you work for the, you ought to be following me. Okay?
Talk to me
Let's
like I'm
start
a kid.
No, I'm not. Okay?
I'm giving you every opportunity.
And I'm telling you, no. Okay? I don't know anything about this.
Well, that's okay. That's not what I'm talking about. But you said there's things that I
I'm not
don't know
going
that
into
would
it.
explain it.
I'm not going into it. Okay?
Why not?
Because it's not worth going into.
I would think it'd be very worth going into.
It's not worth going into.
Why not?
Okay? I'm not talking about it, period.
Why not?
Because I'm choosing not to.
Okay, that's fine. But tell
Okay,
me
I'm not
face to
gonna
face as a man, I'm not going to tell you the truth. That's all I'm asking.
That's not what I just said.
That's what I'm hearing.
Well, then you need to rethink it.
Well, help me to rethink it then. Look,
I'm not
trying
going.
to.
Listen to me. I'm not going into it. Okay.
No,
I mean,
it's not really okay.
I'm here to cooperate with your polygraph and all that stuff. And you know, you can make any kind of notes you want. You can assume that I failed. I don't. It doesn't bother me.
What is it you haven't told me that's causing you such concern here?
I'm not going into to everything that's happened. You know, I mean,
Like what?
I don't have nothing to do with this. Guys showing up at my house.
Look, this is the first day you and I've met, right?
Yes.
Have I been anything but cordial with you?
And I think I've been the same way with you.
I'm not accusing you of not being.
There's nothing else to discuss here. I mean, if I had something to give you, I would. I don't.
Put yourself in my seat for just a second, okay?
Okay.
And I'm talking to someone who's a family member, essentially, is missing and possibly dead. And you're sitting here, and that individual, who you know nothing about, never met before today, right? But you've seen some interviews where you haven't been completely truthful about things. Not just kind of, haven't been completely truthful about a couple of
I've been 100% truthful.
Listen to what I'm saying.
You listen to what I'm saying. I've been 100%
Why are you
truthful.
yelling at me?
Well, because you're telling me I'm lying, and I know I'm not. I know the truth, you know? And I've been 100%
You don't know
honest
the truth.
with you, the grand jury, and everybody else I've spoken
No,
with.
you haven't. Here's what I'm getting. We just said.
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't.
I most definitely have. And if you don't want to believe it, that's your issue. It's not mine.
It's not just me. I showed you.
Dude, I don't give a goddamn what your fucking computer said. Okay?
I think you do.
I'm telling you that I have been 100% honest with you.
Is this how you act?
And the mask starts to slip. These people that are trying to fake through life with these, you know, they're all goody two-shoes until they get mad. They get mad and their true character starts to shine through. And that's exactly what this investigator's trying to do, is get under his skin, make him mad, and see what his reaction is going to be. That's what he's trying to do, I think.
Just act this way towards Crystal.
When somebody, is this how I act toward Crystal? I act toward people that accuse me of lying when I'm not lying.
Did she
That's
accuse
how I
you of
act.
lying?
No, I didn't know Crystal.
Then why are you getting so angry?
Because you're calling me a fucking liar.
No,
That's
I'm calling you a liar. I'm
okay.
not cussed you.
I don't like it when people call me a liar.
Oh,
I'm being 100% truthful with you.
There's only the truth and not what you
Dude,
said.
why can't you? I'm being truthful.
Look,
Okay.
we're not 2-year-olds, all right?
Okay.
So it's not, yes, I am, no, I'm not. Yes, I am, no, I'm not. We're talking. Look, I've been nothing but professional with you, trying to help you in this
Okay.
situation.
Other than calling me a liar when I'm not.
Look, if the right thing to do is to tell you you're not being truthful, then I'm going to tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
Look, I don't care. Little lies, big lies, they're all the same in terms of the polygraph.
I haven't told you any lies.
That's not entirely true.
It is 100% true.
Then help me to figure this out.
Okay.
What you just told me a moment ago. Maybe explain it to me so that maybe I misunderstood what you're telling me. But you told me because you were irritated and there's all kinds of things that I don't know about whatever, that I can't understand why you would say the things you said. That's what you
It's
told me.
just been an experience.
Well,
All this is going on.
but
You
that's
got
what I'm
guys showing
asking
up over at my house taking calls. I mean, this is crazy.
Okay, but that's what I'm asking about. Are we talking about because of things that have been going on since it's happened, or are you talking about there's things that have gone on over time that I'm not understanding?
No, I'm talking about recently.
Okay, well, how am I supposed to know that? if you don't
Yeah,
tell
I
me
mean,
that?
this is simple stuff, man. I mean, I have been 100% honest with you, and surely God, you can understand with people showing up at my house and my family out there taking cars. The neighbors are watching. Man, it's been screwed up.
Of course I can understand.
Okay,
But I wasn't there. How do I know all this?
Well, man, you just
Don't you love it how they're all worried about the neighbors? They're worried about what somebody will think. But not one of them's worried about where this poor woman went. And I'm talking about Brooks's family, his brother, his mommy, all of them. No, well, we just laid back Southern folk. Well, I don't know. She may have ran off with her boyfriend, but all they care about is what the neighbors will think. Heaven forbid. You know what? The neighbors already know what type of people you are. When you're a nasty person, your neighbors and even your good friends, they know what kind of person you really are. They just choose to overlook it. The ones that do. And the others are just too scared to let you know they see you.
assume. I mean, if you were a patrol officer and you got your chief showing up, and I mean, dude, that's crazy. Who the hell?
Professional.
I mean, listen, they come up with all these lies about, well, there's bodily fluid in your car, there's blood. There is no way in hell there is any blood in that car.
I have no idea.
Everybody's told me that. You know, I had to speak with the state police. That's the first thing they said.
Okay.
Grand jury. I mean, it's crazy.
But I'm not that, right?
Okay, but I'm just saying this is crazy.
It may be. All I'm saying, look, I'm not vouching for all this stuff. The evidence will speak for itself, right?
Sure.
Yep.
So it really doesn't matter what people want to say or not. The evidence that I've told you about that I can demonstrate are things that we already do have back that I can show.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't think they're anything that paint you in a horrible light. They show discrepancies with what you've said. Well, there may be a very clear reason for that.
There is.
Well, that's all I'm saying. I'm not. Look, when I accuse you of lying over here, okay, and lies is a bad one. Nobody wants to hear it.
Devil's advocate.
We've all lied in our life. I don't care who you are. I have, no doubt about it. We all have. Nobody wants to hear that. But somebody who's telling a lie, it's the same thing as saying they're not being completely truthful, right? Okay, that's a little prettier way of saying it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the same thing. I'm not saying you're so dishonest, you're so vision, but that's not what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is today with you, I have been 100% honest, and I don't know nothing about it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, and I'm saying that that's not entirely true, but it could be.
I mean,
But listen to what I'm saying here, okay? You just want to get mad and defensive about it. Hear what I'm saying, okay?
go ahead.
Because I'm truthful. I'm going to be completely truthful,
Okay.
as I have been. Person would fail a polygraph on the questions that I asked you on a spectrum of issues, whether it be, yeah, you were out there and watched her get shot and killed by somebody. And again, I'm making that up, all right? You would fail if that had happened and you told me you knew nothing about it, right? Obviously. On the far end of the spectrum, if there's something you know about in your mind that you haven't told me or other investigators, could be about as simple as you saw an argument one time, and again, I'm making it up. You saw an argument between Brooks and Crystal a year ago where she pushed him.
They've never been physical with one another.
I'm making it up.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is the bigger picture is you would fail a polygraph on something that simple or something that dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It could be anything in between. I'm not assuming it's a worst case. In fact, I'm assuming it's something you just haven't got off your chest with me or someone else. That's all I'm saying. Is it a little more clear what I'm talking about?
It is, but there's nothing on my chest.
Well, but here's the thing, is I think that there is.
Okay.
And again, I'm not assuming that it's something huge and dramatic. It may be. I can't tell you what this thing's going into your brain and telling you this is what you're seeing. That's not what I'm saying. All this does is tells me, do you feel you are being completely truthful or do you not? And it is telling me you do not feel you're being completely truthful. Well, that's okay. Your level of what's truthfulness may be a little different than mine. That's why I take the time to explain what I'm asking and why I'm asking it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear when I ask that question, you can confidently say yes or no. Well, obviously with those two questions in particular, about Crystal and about whether you're hiding any information, there's something that you weren't confident enough to say with 100% certainty. There's some other thing, and it may be a personal family issue, for all I know, that you feel, and frankly, I think it's probably something along those lines, that you feel, well, man, if I tell them that, they're going to think that he's just evil, or he did something terrible. I'm not going to think.
If anything stands out in mind, I'll tell you.
Well, then what, looking back at, when you think about this investigation, and not from other investigators else, the investigation and what happened to Crystal and how that's affecting your brother and his child. With all this, when you sit at home at night and laying in bed and you think about what's your biggest concern, and looking back, because we all do, we all are analytical in law enforcement. We think about everything that's ever happened, right? And you start assessing this. You may not discuss it with everybody else. I get that. People handle emotions in different ways, especially in traumatic circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I know I do. I'm an internal person. But I guarantee you that means I think about it inside more than I'm talking about it to other people. What I'm saying is, when you're sitting there at night, you're thinking about it. Maybe you talked to Brooks, but maybe you didn't. What is it? Where does your mind focus on something that you look back at and go, man, maybe that's something that I should have talked to Brooks about, or maybe that's something that might have had something to do with it. Where do you focus? These are just suspicions in your mind, right? But what do you think about? That's what cops do. That's what we do. Where does your mind land at when you think about those?
I don't know. I mean, I just don't, I didn't know Crystal. I don't really know my neighbor. I know that's sad.
I get it.
I mean, I just wasn't around them. I never really saw them argue anything. If they did it away from me. I don't.
Well, that's fine. And if they did argue in front of you, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people argue. So what? My point is there's things anyone along that nature, or even a comment that Brooks has made before or after she went missing, that may cause you some pause in your mind.
They also, if you guys remember when we were watching the interviews that they did with them, the cops also had video, security camera footage that was from their properties. So they had cameras on their property. Brooks had cameras at the farm. He had cameras at his house, and they already had that footage. And if you remember, they kept asking Nick about seeing him and his brother both showing up at the same time. They stayed at the farm for like 2 hours in the evening, and then they left at the same time. There were certain things that these police already had, to question him on. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like they didn't have any kind of investigative, it's not like they weren't producing results, I guess, or producing evidence from their investigation. Mm-hmm. And so they had all of that whenever they were questioning them.
That may be enough, potentially, to cause you to have an issue on the polygraph. It's just, I can't put words, I don't know what you know. I only know, do you believe you're being truthful? And you don't feel you're being 100% truthful, as you said. Maybe you're being 99 now, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, if I did, I'd tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I can't just make something up, and throw it at you. I mean,
I would ask you to. That's why I'm asking you just to tell me the truth and what you. See, the way it's working suspicions don't do anything. Wondering, thinking, oh gosh, I don't know, what could it be that has nothing to do with it. You only respond in the way you do, the physiological signature of somebody who's thinking about this specific thing, mm-hmm. which means in your mind, and again, I have no idea what that thing is. It could be something horrible, it could be something very explainable. But only you know what that is. And that's what I'm getting at, is trying to get you to just say, this is the thing that I was thinking might have some concerns about. And at that point, I'm like, okay, well, that probably explains what I'm seeing here. And again, it's not going to be a big deal. It's what we do. When people initially say, I don't know nothing about nothing, and it turns out as they're sitting later at night, they go, okay, I do know a little bit about something, but it's probably not important. But I've told you I don't know anything, so if I tell you this, you're going to think I'm lying to you. That's not the case.
Man, nothing stands out. I mean, I wish I could come up with something, but I can't.
Let's bring that up. Thank you for saying that, Miss Christie. So Scorpio Girl, she said she watched the documentary, and that his superior officer was in the documentary and said so himself, that he was given a direct order from his superior office to cooperate. So that explains why Nick had to answer questions. I think his brother did it, panicked, and called for Nick's help, and he helped him. I don't believe Nick was directly involved. That's a good point that she makes there. And then Miss Christie says, I heard something today that may link him to Tommy via the weapon. Now, Crystal is not the only person that has been unalived in this town. Crystal's daddy, Tommy Ballard, was fighting, trying to find out who had hurt her, where she was. Remember, they never found her body. But her parents were very active in the searches for her and keeping her name and her face out in the public. And they really were instrumental in the investigations looking for her. Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, y'all let me know if this is wrong. I think it was only about 6 months after she went missing, Tommy Ballard, her daddy, ended up unalived. He was getting ready for a hunting, to go hunting with his grandson. And all of a sudden, Pew Pew came out of the woods and unalived him, her daddy. So now there's not just Crystal. Her daddy's been unalived too. Well, then look at the other ones. You've got Jason Ellis, who was a police officer who worked with Nick. I mean, it wouldn't be difficult to see a scenario in your mind where people were helping each other take out whoever they were wanting to take out. And then you've also got a woman who was a teacher and her daughter. They were in their own home and they were unalived, both of them. Very brutally. Very brutally. And her daughter was a teenager. So we've got many, not just Crystal, we've got many crimes against people, violent crimes, unsolved red rums in this town. And I just don't believe in coincidence when it comes to red rum. There are no coincidences. At least I don't think that there are.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I've been 100%.
Hit that like button for us, y'all.
I mean, I can't think of any examples. They never gotten, as far, I don't think Brooks was ever got physical with her. I really didn't see them argue. I mean, I ain't got nothing to give you.
Well, and I'm glad to say it, because everything from what little I've talked to people about Brooks in particular, about you too, there's not a history of violence and that kind of stuff. There's been no domestic accusations, nothing like that. Which means that whatever happened here was likely, I hate to use the word accident, but it was, I say, unintended, because people can get pushed and shoved, and I don't know, I haven't even seen her. How big is she? She's not real big, is she?
maybe 150 pounds or something.
Yeah, well, to me, that's big, but he's bigger than she is.
Yeah. Okay.
And men being men, women, they get hot-headed, and they started pushing and shoving and screaming and throwing tantrums and all that stuff. Not all, I hate to throw a blanket, but a lot do. And all I'm saying is, in those situations, if it's a situation where she got mad and she pushed or shoved and he...
Well, and you also got to think, too, could the teacher and her daughter have been witnesses to something that they didn't even know they were witnesses to? That is a possibility. You just never know. If people, we're talking about very unhinged people that could do stuff like this, right? So you don't know what their mindset is. You don't know what their thinking process is. And if they thought that somebody in a certain car drove past while they were doing something that they didn't want nobody to see them doing, would it be a stretch of the imagination to think that they would take out those witnesses if they could? if they knew who they were. I mean, it's a possibility. You just never know why people do what they do.
And it's not going to hit a woman. It could be as simple as in the course of that, she fell and hit her head on something. For all I know, again, I'm making up, I don't know. But in those circumstances, that's a real easy answer to what's occurred here. Again, we're going to find it. We're going to know exactly what happened.
Sure, no doubt.
But the time to hear about those things, what actually happened out there, is before we get to that.
I wish I could lead you there, but I can't. I've got nothing for you.
Okay.
I don't know where she's at. We didn't have nothing to do with it. I'm telling you, that's the way it is. I mean, I don't know, if you watch the grand jury testimony or my interview with the state police, I mean, sometimes I don't speak well. Like a lot of times when I go to court, I've got my report in front of me. I read word for word. I just don't remember all that stuff. And then you put 12 people in front of me, they start asking you a bunch of silly questions.
Yeah,
I mean, stuff just blanks out. I mean, I don't respond well to that.
I get that. I don't like speaking in front of groups, period. Even 12 people here. I hate testifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Silly.
But I'm also a student of people. That's what my master's degree is. So when I watch the interviews, I don't just listen, but I listen to what's being said, how it's being said, statement analysis, kinesics, physiology, what people are doing in the room. And you could turn off the sound in some of those interviews and see spots where an objective interviewer would point and go, you're not being completely truthful right there. Well, I did leave the sound on, so I listened to some of those spots.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't think they're huge critical issues, and it may be as simple as what you said earlier, that because of irritation and accusations, you just decided you're not going to tell people about whatever, fill in the blank.
Well, it's not that I didn't tell them. It's just that, a lot of that stuff I didn't remember, and I'm not going to start making stuff up or tweak it in any way.
Yeah.
I'll just straight up tell you, I don't remember. If I don't, I'm not going to make something up.
Absolutely, I get that. And I'm not, I wouldn't want you to say something that you didn't know. I mean, if you do that, you're lying by definition.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is, we all have politicians. Hillary Clinton is a prime example, right? And I'm older than you, but looking back in the Whitewater days, way back when, she was interviewed, her husband was interviewed. So we use those as studies in interview interrogation.
Yeah,
and what do they say more often than any other? What's the phrase they use?
I don't know. I'm not up to date.
That's actually what they say, but they say I don't recall.
Oh, I see.
And when it's clear that they do. And so, and I'm not saying that's not the case with you, but when you hear I don't recall, it tends to raise flags with people that are investigatively asking questions, right? The truth may be you don't recall, but that's certainly a viable option. But when you couple those statements with all the other things going on in the room, and then when in some of those instances, not all, but there were a few, where we can physically say, well, no, but he just said, when you didn't say I don't recall, you said I was here or I was not there. And they asked you several times, were you ever there? You said no. And we can show, well, yeah, here's the evidence that shows you were there.
If you're talking about the vehicles in the driveway, then they harped on that and harped on
I'm not
it.
talking about
I mean, they must have asked that question 10 times. I mean,
I'm not,
we may have been, I don't know.
that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as that, I think at the end of the day, you were, you changed your answers up some with that to be as truthful as I think you could be. When you said, no, I don't think we were there, and so I don't think, and ultimately we have, and we could have been, well, we can show whether you were or weren't there. I mean, that's simple. So whether you recall or not, you were, so I don't care. But what I'm talking about are other times that I haven't given you the evidence on here today. I've asked you questions about where you were or where you were not, and you were definitive. It wasn't, well, I don't think it was. I couldn't have been. It was, no, absolutely not. Well, and again, it's not a huge issue in the grand scheme of things in terms of you being in a certain spot or not being there. But if I already know the answer to that, the truth, the ground truth, as we say in Polygraph, and you're saying something other than what I know I can prove, it raises questions in my mind.
That's not happening.
But it is my point.
Okay, whatever.
It is. My point is,
I mean, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you've heard, but I'm just telling you, I didn't do it. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know anything about it. My brother, and I can tell you, I know him well enough. He didn't do it. It's just the way it is. I mean,
Have you ever known somebody that you said wouldn't do something and it turns out they did?
I'm sure I have. It wasn't my brother.
That's right. So you're choosing to believe.
Because I know him real well.
I understand.
Yes,
Well, look,
yes, I am.
and if it's my brother, I'm going to feel the same way.
Okay.
My point being is just because you feel that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I mean, I feel 100%. Not 96, not 98. I mean, there's just no. This is crazy. He would not have done that.
But what you're saying is you believe him at the end of the day.
Well, it's not that I believe him because I haven't questioned him about it. You know, I haven't.
Why would?
Because I know him well enough. I don't have to ask him that question.
Okay. Well, I guess what I'm asking really is this. I don't think I would ask my brother if he did it or didn't either. I don't think I would. But what I would do as an investigator, as you as a police officer, if she's missing and you believe you have anything to do with it, I would investigate or want to question him and say, look, what do you think happened here? How do we find her? How do we get her back?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do about this? You know, that kind of thing. Those are conversations I have had with my family, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why you haven't had those kinds of conversations. Or maybe you have.
We've talked briefly about it.
Well, talk to me a little bit about those conversations.
I mean, I don't really remember word for word. We spoke very little about it.
You're not on.
I'm not investigating it. I mean, a lot of people have asked why we're not out there looking with their family members jumping out in the road giving us. I'm not going to get out in the woods and have somebody end up threatening me or something. Then I've got to do something silly.
This just makes absolutely no sense. If it was, I know I don't have a brother or sister that I'm close to at all, so I can't really relate to that. But I have two sons that are brothers, and even though they fight like cats and dogs, I know without a doubt that if one of them got in trouble or needed help, he would absolutely ask his brother for help, and vice versa. That one would, if he ever got in trouble or needed help, he would absolutely ask his brother for help. Even though, and mine are young, young teenagers. They just became teenagers. And I've always instilled it in them, and I continue to. As you get older, as you become adults, don't ever, ever, ever leave your brother high and dry. You know, you have to be there for each other. And these two were close. These two were very, very close. So if his wife or girlfriend, baby mama, they lived in the same home together, if she went missing, you think he's not going to be like, man, what do we need to do? Where are you? And he's like, no, I ain't going out in the woods, and then make me have to do something silly, which was a very telling statement, if you guys caught that too. Why would he say that? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. You're not going to go out in the woods for somebody to confront you, and then you have to do something silly. And he keeps saying that same word, silly. It's silly. They're asking me silly questions. Oh, really? This woman is unalived. She's missing. We cannot find a mother of 5 who is the mother of your nephew. I mean, and the arrogance and the ego in his face kills me. It's entitlement. They're so entitled that how dare these peasants bother me? I'm Hawk. I'm a hawk. Oh, you're a dip poop is what you are.
But what I'm asking is, you're not under oath here or anything. I'm not asking you to remember specifically what was. I'm just talking in generalities. Tell me about, were the conversations like what I just described? Hey, what's going on? What do you think happened? How can I help?
I mean, I don't remember those. I mean, I'm not going to start making stuff up, and I'm just not going to do it.
Let me ask this, and if you're me here, maybe reasons. Would it not strike you extremely odd that
I
his police?
just, I just think things get screwed up. You know, I'm not going there. I mean, it's
Wouldn't you
simple.
want to help him find her?
Of course, I want to help find her.
Well,
I want her to walk in.
yeah.
I want her to walk in his door right now. You don't clear this whole mess up. You know.
Absolutely. But for that point, that's what I'm saying. Didn't you ask him, hey, what can I do to help?
I mean, we really haven't been around a lot, you know, around each other a lot, you know. We've been up there to the farm a few times. Both of us are just incredibly busy. I didn't know Crystal, you know. He's dealing with this. I'm not gonna stress him out about it.
Yeah, but aren't you gonna help?
Of course I want to help, but
That's what I'm getting at.
what can we do, you know?
That's what you ask him, what can I do?
There's nothing we can do, you know.
She's just gone.
I mean, hopefully, like I said, she'll show up any minute. And if not, obviously you guys are going to find her at some point. Find out how she was killed. Is there evidence under her fingernails? All this stuff. And it's not going to point toward him or me.
Who would it point to?
Somebody said the other night that there was a wood chipper on their property, and somebody had floated the theory that they had put her in the wood chipper. You know, I've heard that before in theories for other cases, but which is a very, very ugly thought, I can tell you. But whatever they did do with her body, these guys are very, very confident that they're not going to find her, or he wouldn't have just said what he did. Look under her fingernails. There probably aren't fingernails left, to be honest.
Well, how the hell would I know that?
That's what I'm asking you.
I'm not investigating the crime. I don't know.
Do you have any suspicions of anybody?
I do not. I didn't hang around Crystal. I don't know her husband. I don't know her ex-husband. I don't know those people. If I had anything to throw out at you, I would do it.
Okay.
Would you?
Okay.
Most definitely.
We believe you do.
What about other investigators?
What about them?
Would you tell them?
I would tell other investigators. I don't too much care for John Snow, but the rest of them, I don't have a problem with them.
Okay.
State police, Mike Kaminsky's a good guy. Ed Mattingly's a good guy.
Okay. You met? I don't know. Is it Detective Snow? Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know him other than.
He's just admitted. He's openly admitted that he lies in court. I just can't deal with a guy like that.
Oh,
Did he admit that to you or something?
He admitted it to a bunch of us over in the squad room. There was half a dozen of us over there. You know, I'm not going to get between a guy like that and my brother. I mean, I know he had nothing to do with it, but I don't want things to get screwed up either.
Well, I agree.
You know, I want this done right.
never.
I think we all do. Would there be a reason that Brooks would say that he did discuss asking for any help on this matter?
No, there's no way he said that. No reason, no way, 100% not.
Okay. Yeah, I know they asked you about it, but I know when he was being interviewed, you called and basically
Yeah,
paraphrased.
he was
told
with
him to
John
do that.
Snow. He was with John Snow
Oh,
for
is that
hours.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I called up there. Brooks is a really cooperative guy. He's honest. You know, and I just basically, I didn't tell him to leave. I told him, I said, you go ahead and finish up your, he was giving a narrative or whatever, a statement. I said, it's fine to give that. I said, say what you mean what you say. You know, I asked him, I said, are they screwing you around? They ask you the same questions, a bunch of different ways. Because he's been up there for hours. This wasn't no 1 or 2 hours. He may have been up there like 3 hours or 4 hours. It'd been a while.
No, he
I
wouldn't.
figured John was screwing him around, and I just wanted to find out what was going on there. So that's all that was about. If they want to read more into it, that's up to them, you know?
I'm just asking you just because I.
Yeah, he was with John Snow, period.
Was that the same interview when Ryan from State Police was there too?
I don't have any idea if Ryan was here. I know Ryan and another guy interviewed me, but I don't think that the state police have interviewed Brooks. There was a bigger guy. He was probably about, I don't know, blonde hair, short, kind of a heavier set guy, maybe about my height, 250, 240, something like that. And then there was Ryan Johnson was with him. So.
Okay. You ever seen Brooks lose his temper?
Hardly ever.
Hardly ever. What about in those rare occasions when you did?
I tell you, I can't even think of an example where he's just went off the, I mean, every once in a while he may, mess up on a house or something like that, but I mean, Brooks just, he's a pretty calm, laid back dude. He's not, I mean, he doesn't take medication. He is level headed. I mean, he keeps up with about 100 rental property. He builds 8 or 10 houses all the time. I mean, he's just,
Younger than you.
He's younger than me.
He's kind of look up to you.
I think a lot of times Brooks thinks he's over me, I mean, it just depends. I
Is
mean,
he a leader or a follower?
I think both of us somewhat are leaders.
What about when two of you are together? Who's the leader? Not what both of you, realistically.
I don't know. I'm not going to
Fair
say.
enough. That's why I asked. I'm just,
I don't want to put him down.
that tells me that makes you the leader, so I understand. What else haven't we talked about that might clear this up?
If I knew, I'd tell you.
Would you?
Yes.
If there was something that you knew would be helpful, but you felt you were not comfortable telling me or someone else, would you look in the eye and say, there's some other stuff, but I just prefer not to talk to you about it?
You saying one of the detectives here and then just call you?
No, you mean right now as I'm talking, if there are other things that you do know about that you're just simply not comfortable talking to me about, would you look in the eyes now and tell me there's some other things, but I would just be done on that?
Yeah, I'd tell you that. I'd straight up tell you that.
And are there some other things you just do not discuss with me?
No.
Anything else I have not asked you about today that in any way could be helpful?
No.
Think I've treated you fairly today?
I think you have.
I've been professional with you?
Yes, sir.
Have you yelled or screamed or cussed at you?
Nope.
Have you yelled or screamed or cussed at me?
A little bit.
And I understand that, okay?
Okay.
We'll step back out. We'll grab Brian here, and I'm assuming we'll get you back to work here.
Sounds good to me.
All right, appreciate you coming in.
All right.
All right. Now, we are going to watch this other hearing that just happened a couple weeks ago. So this other hearing was for DNA. Okay, so we're going to stop sharing that and let me put it back up the other way. Sometimes it doesn't come through when I switch it that way. Okay. So this hearing, let me read what it says down here. It was the full hearing, tense exchanges at Crystal Rogers' Red Run case hearing for hair DNA testing. So they did DNA. So those of you who don't know, her car was found abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway after she went missing. And I'm pretty sure, if I get any of this wrong, y'all let me know. The Lawson boys, the father and son, who also were arrested with Brooks, from what it looks like is that they took her car out there to the parkway and they left it there with her purse, her keys, her phone, all of her stuff. Her personal belongings were in that car. I don't know if it had a flat tire or not. I thought I heard one of them say the other night that it had a flat tire or something. Or maybe they were saying that she could have had a flat tire. But the police officer, the investigator who was questioning them, it must have been, it was either Nick or Brooks. I'm not sure which one of their interviews. But the investigator that was questioning them said, you know, she doesn't really strike me as the type of woman who would just start changing her own tire. If she got a flat tire, she would probably call somebody. She would have called her daddy. She would have, remember, her daddy was there at that time. He was alive at that time. and she was very close to her family. She would have called somebody. If I got a flat tire, the very first person I would call would be my mommy. She ain't going to come change my tire, but she would be the first person that I would call to let know that I had a flat tire, and then I would make another call. But that's just my thoughts on it. All right, so let's listen to this hearing. I hear it was very fiery.
Taking up an action that is styled Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Stephen Eugene Lawson. It's 23 CR 165 and 23 CR 371. Mr. Lawson is present with counsel. Mr. Wolf and Mr. Butler. Also present on behalf of the Commonwealth or special prosecutors, Mr. and Ms. Young and Mr. Lasowski. I believe there's several matters that are pending on today's date. I believe the first motion that was filed was in regard to DNA testing of 2 hairs. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. May I please report?
Certainly,
Judge, I think I can short circuit this because we're going to demand this motion this time. I'm going to explain to the court why.
Okay.
Initially, when me and Ms. Young and Mr. Lasowski first come across the court order, which come in the KSP notice and lab reports, we had not realized there were 2 hairs that hadn't been tested. And I got freaked out by it, to be honest with you. So I hurried up and filed a bunch of stuff before I really sit down and talk to the chemist himself. And we've had a chance to actually talk to the chemist and speak about it. And once we learned the hair's lengths and the colors of the hair, which one hair was approximately 8 inches, the other was approximately 12 inches. And the hair was a brown tan that had been chemically treated, which usually comes along with female, the majority of the time females. That is not.
You don't think I color my hair?
Well, that's why I look like a woman. But they're not going to belong to either Mr. Lawson or Mr. Lawson's son. We would anticipate Brooks Houck's hair being in the car because he used the car. So we're going to go ahead and stipulate that the 2 hairs don't belong to either of the Lawsons. And I don't really want to spend the state's money because of what it was going to cost to have expedited testing, to have them come back and tell me the same thing, which based on the visual analysis, if they would have had hair samples from them back then, they would have excluded them to begin with on the visual analysis and would not have performed the hearing.
So that takes care of your motion for,
Yes, sir.
so that motion's remanded. I believe there's a motion on to continue that has been filed by Mr. Lawson. Is that the only other motion pending here today?
It is, Your Honor, but I believe that we would still like to address the DNA motion made by the Commonwealth and ask the court that in our response to construe that as also a motion by the defendant to be afforded the opportunity to have these hairs analyzed, irrespective of whether there's a stipulation that it's Mr. Lawson, our client, and Mr. Joseph Lawson, his co-defendant. These are not hairs that were located at a location that bears little to no nexus to this case. They were located in the alleged victim's automobile, which is a center point of prosecution against our client, certainly. It stands to reason that the hairs may not be either Joseph or Stephen Lawson, but regardless of that, if the identities are unveiled to be somebody else who's been identified as a suspect in this case or someone involved in this case, that could fundamentally alter our defense strategy, to be sure. Moreover, we appreciate and have no reason to doubt the Commonwealth's representations to the court today that they have consulted with a chemist and that they don't believe the hairs to be belonging to either our client or to Mr. Joseph Lawson. But we cannot, in good faith on behalf of our client, do due diligence by relying on those representations. We would still need to conduct a separate analysis through our own experts, which we recently retained in light of this litigation. So our request articulated in the response would be the same that we would request from the court today, and that's that we have the opportunity to analyze this. It doesn't sound like it's necessary to have a separate hearing to determine what the appropriate testing method is if the Commonwealth has withdrawn that motion. But certainly we'd like to have an opportunity to inspect the 2 samples, have our expert inspect the two samples and determining what type of testing, if any, is feasible, and whether sample consumption is inevitable or not. That's effectively what we requested in the response, short of the adversarial hearing between two experts to determine what type of testing would be appropriate. So as it relates to the DNA issue, Judge, I think that is our request on behalf of Mr. Stephen Laws.
Comment, the response.
Judge, there on one lip, there was 43 hairs. And
I'm sorry, on what?
they're on one tape lip, the report. There's hairs. I didn't realize, I guess in my car, there's probably as many hairs too, living on a farm, but a lot of the hairs were animal hairs. But you go ahead and say they go ahead, we're stipulating it's not them. Okay. I mean, that's their defense. So if they want to use it as there's another person out there that could have done it or whatever, but you don't have anything to test it against. So that doesn't make, we're stipulating it. And I'm telling you, Your Honor, what this is doing, what they're trying to do is delay this trial. They want to go behind Mr. Houck. There's some tactical advantage they figured out. And I think this is done in conjunction with Brooks Houck's attorneys, that they want to go last. Because it benefits, the only person it benefits is Brooks Houck. And we're willing to stipulate to it. The defendant has admitted he was in the car. He's admitted he was in the car in front of his counsel and me. His hairs may have been in the car. I don't know. But what we're saying is these two hairs, we know for a fact they don't belong to them because of the length and the color. And there's no reason at all to delay a case that has been pending for 10 years.
Well,
Your Honor, may I briefly respond?
Yes,
I apologize, Your Honor. I don't mean to interrupt the court. Judge, these hairs have been in the custody of the state for nearly 10 years. It is not the fault of Mr. Stephen Lawson that they're being brought to our attention in March of 2025. If the Commonwealth wishes to speculate that we're co-conspiring with co-defendants counsel, so be it. But ultimately, the case law that we've cited in McGregor v. Hines, which is a Supreme Court case for the Kentucky Supreme Court, our client has a right, be it inculpatory or exculpatory, to test these hairs. He has the right to that independent test. It's an implied right found to be through Kentucky Rule of Criminal Procedure 7.24. They may be immaterial, but we can't speculate on the materiality of evidence that has not been analyzed or subject to forensic analysis. That's the reason we do it. And if we simply say that we'll agree to waive our right to exercise separate analysis of the test, then that ultimately jeopardizes our client's defense strategy. We don't necessarily know who the identity is. And there may not be an identity from it, but that doesn't defeat the fact that he has a right to have these samples tested. And the case law and the rule supports that.
Well, I don't see how you're going to match it up with somebody else if there's nobody to match it up with. That's the problem I see here. I mean, they're telling you, they're admitting that it's not his hair or any co-defendant's hair. So I would certainly give you an opportunity to have your expert look at it. If he wants to present some type of testimony about it, I really don't think it's particularly relevant if they're saying it's not any of the co-defendant's hairs. So,
And we can arrange for them on look at it.
if you want to have your expert go look at the hair, certainly talk to Mr. Young and you all can go and look at the hair, but I don't know what good it's going to do to test when they're telling you that it's not their hairs and you don't have anybody's sample to say we're testing to see if it's this person.
Well, Judge, we don't know if it's not our client's hair. We don't, that's the whole point here, is we do not know whose hair.
So you want to test it to see if it is his hair? To put him in the car?
With all due respect, Judge, you don't know our defense strategy. So depending on what the results are, that could absolutely change what we are planning on doing from a defense standpoint. And with all due respect to the court, I really do not want to state on the open record in front of anybody, specifically the Commonwealth, what our thoughts are on what our defense is. So I'm going to respectfully decline to answer your question about whether or not I want it to be my client's hair. I'm not going to answer that.
And his client's admitted to being in the car.
Okay. I'm denying the motion for any testing because there's nobody to test it against. They're telling you it's not his hair. So I don't, and apparently it's not the same color. It's chemically treated, but I'll allow your expert to take a look at the hair if they want to look at it. Okay.
So is it the court's position that the Commonwealth can state on the record that it is not our client's hair, and the court takes that for it not being our client's hair? I mean, that's what I'm
letting you look at the hair, and if you come back and you tell me that the hair was not chemically treated, or the hair or something that they're saying is false, I'm allowing you to look at the hair, and if it's a different color or something of that nature, I'm giving you an opportunity to look at the evidence.
Right.
But I'm not going on this fishing expedition of having it tested. We don't have anybody to test it against.
With that said, Judge, I would anticipate after our expert looks at the hair that we would want to do an analysis of that hair. So maybe now's not the right time. And if you tell me it's not because we don't have enough information, perhaps what we need to do is get our expert here and explain to the court what type of testing could be performed and what type of end result you may anticipate depending on those particular results. I'm not a DNA expert, and I know counsel's not a DNA expert, and I sure know the Commonwealth is not a DNA expert. So I think we're taking and making some significant leaps here without any testimony from somebody who has expertise in this particular area.
If you want me to have somebody come,
I think what they're fighting about is that it would delay the trial, because this trial is supposed to start next month in May. And if they allow the defense to test it, it will delay the trial until the testing is over. And I think that's what that prosecutor was saying. There's no reason why this trial should be delayed. It's already been delayed long enough. I think that's what they're saying.
come from the lab to testify that it wouldn't be their hair, and the reason why, I'll be fine doing that. But at this point, I don't see any reason to have this hair tested if they're going to tell you it's not any of the co-defendants.
But I just don't think they have the ability to do that, Judge. They don't know that. Just because Mr.
I said I was going to take testimony on it. I'm willing to give you testimony on it, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
there.
very well, Your Honor. I'm uncomfortable with taking the statements that a Commonwealth attorney has spoken to a chemist, and now we are all concluding that the hair is what they say.
If I said I'd give you a hearing on it and let the person testify, I'm not making a finding here today at all, but I take Mr. Young at his word. He's an officer of the court. He's not going to come in here and misrepresent things to us.
No, and Judge, what the chemist said was, he told us what the length was. He told us what the color was. He told us it had been chemically treated. We know what color Mr. Lawson's hair was then, and what Mr. Joey Lawson's hair was then, and the approximate lengths of their hair. It can't be their hair.
Well, like I said, I will have the person show up. I'm going to take testimony on it, and at the end of the hearing, I'll make a finding on it.
And Judge, are you, when you say the person, are you referring to the chemist?
The chemist who says it's not their hair.
All right. Well, we would like our expert, of course, to potentially testify as well. So we just need enough time to arrange for him to be here at that particular hearing.
Okay. Do we have any other motions today?
And Judge, just so we can be clear, I am trying to struggle here about how to articulate a response to a claim by the Commonwealth's attorney on the open record in front of the media, this court, and everybody else, that he has now determined that there is some conspiracy between the co-defendants to delay the trial. I'm offended by that, Judge, and I'm going to ask the court that in the future, if he doesn't have the ability to back up such statements, those are, to me and my counsel and to my client, those are inflammatory statements. Out of respect to the court process, I didn't get up and object when he made that statement. But I want the court to know, and I want counsel to know, those don't go unnoticed by us. That was inflammatory, was not appropriate. And in the future, we're going to ask the court to strike that from the record if he ever makes such claims again in the future.
Judge, we would also ask counsel to not file motions at 4 a.m. before the hearing and abide by the court rules.
We would ask the judge that they not find hair on May 25th.
Let me see you to it. Come on.
Judge, give me a second. I need to mute you there.
Okay.
Thank you, honey. I'd say it's probably Crystal's hair,
Judge,
but
Judge. You need to hit the unmute button on the box. Yeah, right there.
Okay, when y'all came to the bench, everything was muted, so people on Zoom can hear what we're doing again. Go ahead. I'm
All
sorry.
right, Judge, just to confirm where we're at, we're asking the court to set a hearing for a discussion related to whether or not it is relevant and or necessary for the 2 hairs that were found and disclosed by the Commonwealth on March 25th of 2025. And we, at that point in time, anticipate bringing witnesses, or perhaps one witness of our own. And we also anticipate that the Commonwealth will be bringing the chemist. The counsel for the Commonwealth has stated on the record, states X, Y, or Z related to said Harrison.
When can your expert go and view the hair? Was the hair at the
Frankfurt lab.
at the Frankfurt lab? When can your expert go and do that?
I can tell the court that when we get out of here today, we will contact him. There's really no, I don't have his schedule. So
I'll tell you what, why don't you go make a phone call and find out? Because I want something done the next 2 weeks for this hearing, so.
I will attempt to contact him. May I step out, Your Honor?
Yes, certainly. Okay.
Sandbox fight. Yes. I just cannot watch much of that because I think the man is innocent. And every time I see him or even think of him in isolation, the way that they have really railroaded that guy, it just drives me into overdrive anxiety. that man could have been found guilty by a jury. It just blows any bit of common sense out of the water. It's unbelievable. And then after he was found guilty and all this came out about the neighbor guy, or the guy whose property they found the girls on, Ron, whatever his name was, and then the boy that was in jail with him came forward and said that he had confessed to him. They say one of the things I learned in school was, it was a quote, but I don't remember who said it, but it was better for like 100 guilty men to go free. I forget what the number was they used, but it was better for 100 guilty men to go free than for one innocent man to be convicted. And seeing how unethical some of these prosecutors are, man, they're so willing to lie publicly, lie. How can you trust that they're going to go in and prosecute someone fairly? Innocent people. I think there's a whole lot more innocent that are convicted.
Judge, I was informed by his staff that he is out of town until the end of the week, and I have left him a very long, lengthy voicemail asking him to call me back as soon as possible.
Okay, well, if he wants to review the hair, he's got to be available next week, April 7th to the 11th. Arrange a time to go view that hair. Just contact Mr. Young with what time during business hours he wants to go next week. I'm looking at setting the hearing the following week.
Yep.
What about April 14th?
Yes, sir.
I can do morning or afternoon.
Either one's fine.
Your Honor, I would just request to be in the morning if it's on April the 14th, because my afternoons.
Sure. 9 a.m. okay?
I'll defer to Mr. Lawson on his schedule for the morning of the 14th, Your Honor.
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, Judge, I think we're available for the 14th in the morning.
I'll put down the hearing will be at 9 a.m. on April 14th over the hairs. Anything else we need to take up today?
And just, I don't mind drafting, and then we probably need to go, the lab will probably need to order.
Sure. If you will draft a order that says that that the defense expert has a right to come and view the hairs, and that's to be arranged through a date sometime between the 7th and the 11th during business hours, and they're to contact the experts to contact. You want it to be direct to the lab, or do you want it to be the in between?
I don't know who the expert is. The lab guy may know him. I don't know who it is, but they can call me.
Okay. That they contact you to arrange the time for this. Okay, if you'll tender an order that, I'll be glad to sign it. Anything else?
Just so we have an opportunity to review that as well before it's signed.
Yes, if you'll email it to all counsel, and you'll have an opportunity to review it.
Judge, and we also have a motion to continue the jury trial, given that we are going to be having a hearing in the near future. We ask that that motion be passed to that particular thing.
I do have one thing, if it sure can. I did call I was concerned about, Mr. Lawson not having, because they said they'd asked EPA to buy him a computer, and it hadn't happened yet. So I called the jail, and there is a computer available that Justin, Mr. Hall, or Jail Hall, says he would make available anytime, but we actually brought a computer. It's a computer at the office. It has nothing on it. We'll give it to him. We just asked for it at the end back. It can stay here. You can come here. You can use the computer.
Well, I tell you what, this guy over here knows about computers.
Yes.
So
we'll give it to him. So it'll be here anytime they want to use it.
okay. I'll show them there's a computer available. You all just tell me what days you want him brought up here, and Timmy will set it up in the back, and he can look through the discovery at it.
Yes, and I would, obviously, we would like to see the computer. I just want to make sure that, as you know, there's some security concerns. So I want to confirm that that we do not have any Wi-Fi access, that there's nothing else on the computer. Those are things that I and/or our expert related to.
Do you have the computer here today? Okay, well, why don't y'all view it before you leave then?
Yeah, I'm not qualified to tell you whether or not it's got the, meaning, you know this as well as I, Judge, we have other people involved in our team that can tell us whether or not that's an issue. So, but I appreciate the offer. So let's leave it here. Here's my suggestion. Let's leave it here. And before we make arrangements, and I have one of the sheriff's phone numbers here, and I've communicated with him about not wasting anyone's time bringing Mr. Lawson over until there's actually something there for him to look at. How about we just do this? They leave the computer, we come look at it, or have whoever else look at it to determine that it's an appropriate computer to use. And then I will communicate with the sheriff and have Mr. Lawson brought over at the appropriate time. Again, I'm not trying to waste anyone's time.
I guess I don't understand what makes it an appropriate or inappropriate computer. I'm not following here.
I haven't even seen the computer, Judge. I don't know if it has the appropriate
It
things
works
to accept the discovery. I don't know. I don't know if it has any connecting ports on it. I mean, I just don't know.
This is what we've been using.
I think they got it here if you want to look at it.
Okay.
Judge, it has Adobe on it and it has VLC media player, so they'll be able to view it. As long as they don't hook it to Wi-Fi in the building, I don't know how anyone would have any Wi-Fi access. I don't know the code for the Wi-Fi, so I can't put it on here. So certainly somebody can go in the settings and look and see if it's hooked to the Wi-Fi in the building. Other than that, it won't have any access to anything outside of what he's viewing on the computer.
That was a concern of the courts, of course. So I was just trying to address your concern.
That is a concern of any contact with people through any type of social media would be a concern.
Yes,
to the
sir.
court.
So I was trying to be respectful of your thoughts on it. So,
That certainly would be something he should be having access to. Okay, anything else? Okay, I'll see everybody then April 7th at April 14th at 9 a.m.
He said, I'm just trying to be respectful of your honor. I'm just trying to be respectful of your thoughts on it, Judge. Yeah, just your thoughts, Judge. Man, come on. So, see you later says that Thread said that the daughter overheard something while babysitting. She or mom or both were thought to be informants. Well, and I'm glad that you said that because it is kind of a good transition into my thoughts on informants and how they're being used. So like around here, there's a situation where we had an officer of the court who brought in an employee, a home health employee, and had them living in their home. Now, this is an officer of the court, okay, a prosecutor. And that particular home health aide has allegedly went into people's places of business and asked really inappropriate questions. And it made, and I've been told this by different sources, not just one. And they thought that she was wearing a wire. And, you know, it makes me wonder how do they use, if they are behaving, if we have officers of the court behaving very inappropriately, just misconduct after misconduct after misconduct, would it be a far stretch of the imagination, I say again, that they would inappropriately use them too, people like that too? So I just do not have a great level of faith that the people who are supposed to be conducting themselves appropriately and following rules and following laws, they're the ones that are breaking them left and right. Just, I don't know, man. I don't know. And how dare you speak out about it? How dare you? Because what are they going to do? And I was right. What do? They use their influence with whoever your employer is to make you lose your job. If you rent, they will use their influence to make you homeless. They will use any tactics available to them to intimidate and silence. And there's only, like, we know that there are more victims in Letcher County. And even though we are 6 months into this case, we still don't have victims coming forward who are willing to speak out publicly. Now, we have victims who spoke out, but what happened when they spoke out? They were silenced. Using the criminal justice system to punish, which we're going to be looking at some stuff this week. So y'all make sure that you join us. Miss Candy, she says, I just hope Brooks has a fair trial and enough evidence is there to convict him. I don't like not being able to view the hearings till after they happen. Yeah, I know. I really doubt, they waited a long time to arrest him. And I just kind of feel like it was his connections that kept him from being arrested earlier. We see how money, all it takes is money. And if they donate enough money to people's campaigns, well, they call those favors in. Elected officials who go around at campaign time and donate a lot of money to businesses, schools, community places. Whenever it comes time to collect that favor, we see, they'll sure call in those favors and demand that loyalty. There ain't even a grace period, honey. They're gonna demand that loyalty right now. Right now. It's just something, y'all. It's something. Crystal says, I don't understand how anyone can be convicted of something without the body. Well, I'm glad that they do. I'm glad that they do take these cases to trial because, I mean, if that was the case, think about how many people would just get away with it. And we're talking about red rum. We ain't talking about some little willy-nilly, shoplifting case or something. But that's just my opinion. And listen, we at Hillbilly Crime, we can agree to disagree on anything. All opinions are welcome. Everybody's got one. And we're not all going to agree on everything every time. And that's okay. That is perfectly okay. We love each other anyway. I've always suspected them going to these extremes, but never had proof. Like messing with people's jobs, rent. Oh, I know. I've dug up all kinds of things on codes of conduct, Office of Professional Responsibility. We're looking at this stuff. We're looking. Lori. Miss Crystal says, what's the evidence for his arrest? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what comes out at trial. They're not gonna let us know what they've got, not before the trial anyway. Another good old boys club. That's right. And what I'm learning here, which, I mean, it's already been told, but the abnormal amount of sexual motivation. I said from the very beginning with all this stuff here in Letcher County that I thought money was the basis for all of it. And I thought, I still think that the sexual stuff is just a side benefit, But, I think there's something else besides just money. I think it's the power and the control that they get when they fill these positions is just beyond comparison for any of us, like beyond the pale for any of us lay people, Thank you, Miss Janelle. Let's see. Cindy from sunny South Florida says, unfortunately, that seems to be all over government. Yeah. And what about the people that are above them? Well, who's their campaign donors? Who's on their donor lists? Because that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find their campaign donors lists. I found a couple, but I haven't found the one that I'm looking for yet. So we want to look at that public information and see where those connections are. Because it looks like to me, if they donate enough, they sure don't come looking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of Mayor Weddle in London, Kentucky. They found that he had donated over $200,000 to our Governor Beshear. And when they found it, when investigative reporters went digging through all this stuff, they found it, and he ended up having to give it back to him. But, we watched a whole team of police officers walk into a man's house, the wrong house, over a weed eater, and unalived the homeowner at the wrong address. And you had, 12 people there? And all of them could plainly see the numbers outside this man's home. They did not match the numbers that were on the search warrant. The radio, the police radio, the dispatcher, she said the address like 5 times on the radio before they entered that man's home. Nothing's been done about that. We've not heard a word about any of that. Now, I know they cannot comment on a pending investigation, but you would think that someone above the City of London would at least address it. No, they don't address a damn thing. The only thing they address is if their poor little self gets offended by something somebody says about them. Heaven forbid that you say the truth. Trailgazer, yes, it's all about power, control, and greed. Thank you for that addition. That's true. Yes, many prefer their power over any sort of justice. Absolutely. Kate, a journalist, once told me, always follow the money. It's usually that, smex, or power. Absolutely. Follow the money. But one thing that I've noticed is how sloppy a lot of these people are. They're sloppy. When you've got protection and you think that you've got protection, then, you're real sloppy when it comes to your communications because you don't think you'll ever get found out. And nobody will ever come with a search warrant. Nobody will ever have a reason. Well, looks like they might have a reason now. Poor little self gets offended. You'd think when they run for office, they'd have a thick skin because they can't go retaliating against everybody who has something to criticize. I mean, these are public officials. We are given certain protections, like a First Amendment, the right to free speech, the right to a free press. They can't retaliate against everybody. What do you do when somebody speaks out? Well, it looks like the playbook was have people call your job over and over and over again until they get you fired. And then breathe down the employer's neck to get them to come up with something that they can take to a grand jury. Well, is that weaponizing a grand jury? Is that coercion? What is that? Are you allowed to do that? I don't know. Looks awful suspicious to me. Looks awful suspicious to me. There seems to be a hierarchy of corruption and intimidation. I need to remind myself there is nothing new under the sun. Yeah, and they'll threaten, they'll intimidate, they will bark a whole lot. Bark, bark, bark. Put a leash on your dog. All right, guys. So that is where we're going to leave this one for tonight. Tomorrow we will pick back up with the Daybell trial. And then tomorrow night we're going to start with our corruption series for this week. All right, yep. Backwoods Georgia girl. They will make stuff up to charge you with. They sure will. They sure will. All right. Well, you all have a great rest of your evening. And I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Stay warm. Stay safe. Oh, before we go, let's say another prayer together, you guys. For we have several of our viewers and family members who have had medical procedures this week, who are going through a lot of medical problems. And so let's just say a prayer together. Lord, we come to you tonight and we ask that you will just touch each and every single person that can hear the sound of my voice, Lord. We pray that you will just keep your hand of protection over them, over us all. We pray that you heal, that you allow healing inside, spiritually, emotionally, physically. We pray that you just touch each and every single one of us and give us strength, Lord. We ask that you forgive us for our sins. Give us the guidance and the wisdom to go through every single day, Lord. We ask that you will just watch over us. Put a watch over my mouth, Jesus. That I will not say anything that I should not say. And we just love you, Lord. We lift you up in praise. We lift you up in honor. And we just love you, Jesus. Thank you for dying on the cross, Lord. Thank you for saving me, Jesus. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just go with us, Lord. Go before us this week as we go through whatever our life brings us. In Jesus' name, amen. Hallelujah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you all tomorrow. All right. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jamie Stump. Bless you, honey. Pandora's Folly. Thank you, Janelle 2.0. God bless y'all. See you tomorrow. Bye.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.